So in terms of our lab 1, since first day of class, now we're on week 4, right? So we've had 3 classes up till now. Since the first day of class, we were talking about the idea that our course outline is to learn about virtual server administration. Now, I know from having taught this course before, the first time I taught it, I followed the course outline and I taught the technology. And by the end of class, nobody really understood anything that was going on. So then I realized that this course is as much about business as it is about technology. And the reason why we run virtual server farms is to save money and make better use of human skills and company resources to maximize profit, deliver more product to our customer, be more competitive with our competitors. So therefore, I'm now running this as a business simulation. So you've all been assigned to be in a team, and we have our team link down here. You don't know where that is. If you don't remember something, go and find that. But you're going to, let's see where your team link is. Yeah, it's right here. So Next Tech Nexus, the global IT services marketplace business simulation. Right, we went over this on week 1. And all your team people are there. Right, so you have companies, and companies do different things. And I'm going to further develop these. I'm going to, next week or later this week, I'm going to start emailing out more complete details of what Alpha Tech Solutions does. So Abhijit, Taj, and Amritpal will understand that better. But I didn't really want to go into that too much right at the beginning because it would have been confusing because you wouldn't have had a kind of a mental orientation to understand it. Now that we've done this much work, and now that you're going to do lab 1, you understand what a virtual data center is, and all of these companies which you've all been applied to, you've all been assigned to, you all work there now in various roles. Next week, I'm going to start giving each company a task list, right? A sales sheet or some kind of a deal sheet. And you're going to have to go and put that deal together. And putting that deal together is going to involve buying and selling services from other companies. And I will give each company a list of what it does and how much it charges and what it's. I'll give you all the financials on that. But before I give you that, I want you to do this lab 1 so you'll have a big picture context in your mind. You're going to study some case studies of strategic outsourcing companies which do bundling, right? So maybe your company, for example, you have to provision, you have a customer, right? A client has come in and asked you for something, and you're going to look for ways, what can we do, and what are we going to outsource to other teams, and how are we going to bundle together the deal in a way that's going to maximize our profit and make our financial goals work. So next week, we'll start doing that. Lab 1 is the amp up to getting you ready for that. In fact, here's a very good thing that you need to read as a part of that. The future of the data center industry, trends and analytics for 2022 and beyond. Well, we're already in 2023 now, but anyway. So that's one thing that your team, maybe one member of your team is going to read and then bring back the critical points to the rest of the team to write up for your stuff that you're going to put on your Trello board for your Lab 1 report. Right, so anyway, here is the 5 questions which you must answer for your Lab 1, and where are you going to put the answers to these? You're going to put it in the Trello board. How are you going to organize the Trello board? That's up to you, however you like, just so long as it's easy for me to read and find the information when I'm marking it. So 5 questions for students to address in the Lab 1. What are some of the key business drivers pushing organizations to adopt virtual data centers? How can virtualization help companies become more agile and responsive? And it probably would be a good idea as well. You can go and do your own additional research. Maybe you could present some case studies of companies that you've researched, right? So it would be a good idea to add some case studies, go and research some case study companies. To reference to. right? So you could go and use some of these new research tools that are out there. I love Perplexity AI. I think that's one of the good ones. And all of this stuff, when you're using any of these AI things, the key thing is you have to get very hard and very clear on what you're asking for. You have to do good prompt engineering, right? So you could say present the details of 3 strategic outsourcing companies internationally operating, 3 strategic outsourcing companies in terms of their key business drivers. What's the key things that they run their business based on? Driving their organizations or pushing their organizations to adopt virtual data centers. Now, one of the things we're finding is a lot of students now are using ChatGPT, which is good. I'm going to encourage you to do it, not for the test, right? Not for the test questions, but for your lab work, because everybody else is out there doing it. All the other students you're competing with for jobs are getting good at doing it. At work, your company is going to compete with other companies on the basis of being a knowledge worker. And I'm going to suggest that you probably don't know how to use ChatGPT. You probably think you do, but you really don't. By the time I'm finished with you, you're going to be very skillful at prompt engineering, and you're going to know not just how to get the information. That's nothing. I could put a box of papers on the table in front of you right now with 5,000 papers of information. Unless you know how to organize it, categorize it, collate it, and present it to be useful. And that's one of the things we're going to do with Trello. Later on, I'm also going to teach you LaTeX, but one thing at a time. So anyway, now we've got some information here, and this could be something you could go and start dropping into your Trello board, right? There's more links you could go out there and get. Top companies that outsource their operations. Well, that's going to be basically what your business simulation company here in the class is doing. What are the benefits of virtual data centers, right? You might go and find more stuff there that I haven't thought of yet, so you can add that into your report. But what I specifically wanted was the names of, so you can have a conversation. The big difference between an AI and a search engine is AI is conversational. So you can say, you can tell it, what I really want is the names of 3 companies. And as we know, ChatGPT is not live on the internet. Its training cutoff date was over a year ago, but Perplexity AI is actually live on the internet. What I really want is the details of 3 companies doing this right now, doing strategic services outsourcing with virtual data centers today. Strategic services. So that means like their business operations, their business services, strategic services outsourcing in a virtual data center context. So you could go here and find some companies and make Trello swim lanes on them and start putting cards in there and keep going, right? So there's a case study, for example. You could go and study the case study of PMMI and what they did, how much they spent, and what benefits they got. All right, let's finish studying your lab. I got about another 20 minutes. So I'm just going over your questions now, so pay attention here, please. Discuss some of the technical benefits of virtual data centers, improved resource utilization, operational efficiency. Now, business continuity, define what these terms mean. Business continuity means if the people running the company get killed, are there going to be other people who can figure out what they were doing and keep it going? if the company gets hit by an earthquake or, you know, a meteor from outer space or something lands on it, is their data backed up to another offsite location so they could keep going? I know when I was at IBM, there was actually a thing I heard that there were 3 people at the top of IBM, the chair and 2 of the senior VPs. They were never allowed to travel or be at the same place at the same time because there was stuff that was only in their head. They didn't even write it down. I guess all the really good, juicy, dirty secrets, whatever. So if they all got killed at one time, it would be really bad. So they you know, could never be on the same plane or something together. So anyway, that's an issue of business continuity. As a cloud virtualization specialist, which is you, congratulations, what skills and experience will you bring to bear to show how you could help the company successfully implement and manage a virtual data center? The article, so that's the article I gave you for your case study article. Right there, that's one article right there. And I think I gave you something from LinkedIn as well to go and study. Yeah, so here's another thing you should please go. Oh, actually, no, that's mine. That's IT Application Developers Rules of Acquisition. So the major case study thing you have is right here, Future of Data Center Industry, right? So go and study that. So the article mentions virtual data centers can reduce hardware costs by up to 40%. What are some other potential cost savings you might get besides hardware? Well, software is a big one. Services is a big one, just backing up all that data, running antivirus programs, right? Keeping all your operating systems patched up to the latest level. So that's actually within a category of something called SRE, Safety and Reliability Engineering. Safety and reliability engineering would be another factor other than hardware. Now, for some things, that's not such a big deal. For example, if you're a company that makes Nintendo games or Xbox games and you stop making games for a couple of weeks, probably nobody will die. But what if it's a hospital? What if it's an airline? What if it's a 911 call center? Yeah, people might die if those services become unavailable. So safety and reliability engineering. Now, here's a case study I did for another class. This was actually from the beginning of this year, back in January. I don't know how much you follow the news, but there's this airline called Southwest Airlines, and it was around the January Christmas travel rush thing. Apparently, there was a couple of really bad blizzards, and Southwest Airlines, their IT systems were so old and worn out and decrepit that when a couple of planes kind of missed their scheduling because they couldn't land because the airport was too covered in snow, they had to get diverted away to another airport or something. Their whole Southwest Airlines their whole enterprise software that run their company crashed and collapsed. And anyway, I made a case study of that in my software testing class. Their capstone project, each team had to design a better enterprise software, right? An enterprise application software. And the funny thing is every single team did a much better job than the real software which was being used by this big airline. So you guys and ladies out there who were worried about where am I going to get my first job, the job marketplace is so competitive. If you actually know the incredible level of dumbness out there, you'll realize it's not very hard to be smart enough to be smarter than 50% of people. Anyway, I'm going to kick out my case study on Southwest Airlines because we're going to be coming back to it later as an example of how we could architect a better system. I told you, right, my friend Susan, she's just started her own real estate brokerage. She is running her entire brokerage on Google Sheets and Google Docs, not spending a dime on any of these expensive vertical softwares. Yeah, so the thing with Southwest Airlines, like that was really a catastrophe. Like people all over, thousands of people, mostly over the United States. I don't know if it affected Canada too much, but their plane wasn't taking off right. They couldn't get to their plane. So imagine elderly people who can't get to their medication because it's in their suitcase, or parents with young children who have to like sleep in an airport waiting room for 3 days till the next plane is there. Like things that you think would be very simple, they could not do, like just getting the pilot. They had planes and they had pilots and they had flight crews and they had rosters of passengers. Their IT system could not get the pilot and the crew onto the plane and get the passengers there, because the way their system worked is the pilot would call, right, when they landed, they'd call an 800 number and they'd say, you know, I'm Pietro or whatever, here's my employee ID, I'm a pilot, where do you want me to go next? So they were using like a goddamn 1-800 number call center to put their pilots onto the next plane. That was not being done on a sort of a computerized basis. So anyway, I'll kick that out, take a look at it. We'll come back to it later. So Southwest Airlines case study. Here you go. Where is it? Case study, Southwest. Case study. Why am I not finding it? Southwest Airlines. How did I spell it? Southwest Airlines. Here we go. Okay, good. Yeah, it's actually from another class I teach on DevOps, but not kind of related. Whoops, gotta plug my computer in before the power dies. Hang on. So here's another question you should be addressing in your Lab 1 Trello board write-up. And bear in mind, this is all cumulative, right? So for your next activities, you're going to be building on top of this. So it doesn't start and end here. This is the start of one continuous case study we're going to be doing to the end. Now, when we get towards around week 8 or something, I mentioned on this first week of class, you're actually going to have some technology implementation. So we're going to get you all signed up on cloud accounts and Amazon Web Services and Google, actually all of them, Microsoft, they all have free student accounts. So we're going to get you signed up with cloud server accounts, and we're going to make, and I'll basically more or less create it for you. I'll show you what to do, but each team is going to put an actual component, some sort of a software component written in Node.js, JavaScript. You're going to put it on the cloud, and you're going to have to deliver certain functionality, and you're going to have to negotiate with other teams to buy or sell access to your component so their component can do their part of the job. So later on in the second half of the course, in the first half of the course, you're just going to be doing this on paper, but at the end, you're actually going to do it for real, just to get a little bit of the feeling of what it's like to use these tools to deploy something to the cloud, to telnet into your server, to run a VM on the server, and so on. So anyway, Maybe we'll get you guys to do a better job of what Southwest Airlines was supposed to do. That was a very nice case study. The students really got into that. All right, so anyway, that's it. That is your 5 questions. So for the simulation, key points to convey about virtual data centers are you have increased access to more diverse, talented people. You get people from all over the world. They can stay at home wherever they like to be and log by remote into the data center to do the maintenance, right? What kind of maintenance tasks do we have to do for a data center? We'll get into that in lab 2, but imagine the maintenance guy here at this building, what's all the things they have to do? Well, fix the lights, fix the door, fix the alarm system, shovel the snow, puts salt out there when there's ice in the middle of winter. So all the things you would have to do to maintain a building, well, you have to do a bunch of stuff to maintain a server farm as well, and that's the kind of things they would do. So we'll talk about that in future activities. So participants should factor these benefits into their buy-sell scenario, right? Their services when you're buying and selling services with other teams. So review and get clear on your company's mission statement by developing your Trello board. That was something I asked you to do on week 2. And next week, I'm going to issue each team some more specific instructions. I'm going to give you some kind of virtual clients that you're going to have to provide for the needs of. And I'm going to give you some tasking you need to do to provision for those clients. So if you read this article, I think that'll be a good help. That'll get you started. And there is the first sheet I kicked out on week 1 to introduce the course. So you can go and look over that again more if you like, if you need to see that. So our lab 1 business simulation is worth 5% of your final mark. You and your team, actually I'm still recording this. I can turn off my recording now. I will kick this up later on. It'll take a while to assemble. Yeah, it's a 20